Back on Big Ten today, it is Suits and Sneakers Week, a joint effort of the American Cancer Society and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Brad Underwood will be wearing these shoes tomorrow against Indiana, honoring people close to the Illinois program affected by cancer. This year's theme is Set the Screen, reminding everyone the importance of getting screened for cancer. You can go to coaches.cancer.org for a screening center near you. A simple message, but a really important one. Cancer screening saves lives. Let's get to our big interview. The incoming chair of the Coaches versus Cancer National Council, Illinois basketball coach Brad Underwood, is with us. Coach, those shoes are really cool, and I know they're really meaningful as well. There are 30 names on them, so I'm not going to ask you to tell us every story, but are there a couple on there that you would want to highlight of people close to the Illinois basketball family who you are singling out, who have been through a challenge with cancer?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we wanted to do. It's the 30th anniversary of Coaches versus Cancer. So we sought out through our players, through our coaching staff, to get 30 names, and we highlighted those on those shoes. And it's much more than me. It's much more than a head coach who wears a suit. It's about our whole program, and it just goes to show how important the screening piece is in this. Quay Jones on our staff, you see his name on there. Leukemia when he was young. Cindy Burnside, my sister-in-law, is another one that's dealt with it, and we can go on down the list, and it's so important. The screening process, to the early detection, helps eliminate it, helps in the fight against it. And I'm so honored to take over for Lon as the head of Coaches versus Cancer. So honored what the NABC, everybody involved, the American Cancer Society are doing to help eliminate something that's it's time for it to go. It's time for us to be able to solve the cure for cancer. And millions of viewers out there on this week watching games, and it brings attention to it. And I'm extremely proud to be a part of it.
Give us a sense of the scope of CVC. And this is the second time we've had you on this season to talk about Coaches versus Cancer, because you were on earlier, really kind with your time. There was a great auction earlier this year that CVC raised a ton of money, again, for cancer research. You came on the program and were a part of that. I know there are golf tournaments. Like, give people a sense. You mentioned 30 years of Coaches versus Cancer. Like, what has that, like, is there a dollar figure you can tell us, and increased screening? Like, what tangibly has happened here with this CVC effort?
Well, we're north of $155 million raised by Coaches versus Cancer, and the attention that we've been able to do, and it's more the involvement of coaches and what they're doing, not just on the national level with Suits and Sneakers, but what they're doing in their communities, and what they're doing in terms of raising money, but most importantly, raising awareness. And no one is able to escape the touch of cancer through friends, family, coworkers, whatever it may be. And if we can not just do it this week, but at our events, whether they're golf events or they're fundraisers or their auctions, whatever they are, that we do that, we keep bringing cancer and the fight and the screening and all the research and all the positive things that are happening in the fight against cancer. And we do that throughout the course of a year. There's so many coaches out there involved, and officials and high school coaches, and it's been really fun to be a part of raising $155 million north of that, and continuing to fight and bring recognition in this fight.
The money has been amazing, and I just think it's really imperative before we leave this topic just to reinforce to people, please get screened. That should be your biggest takeaway from Coaches versus Cancer Suits and Sneakers Week. Please get screened, and again, coaches.cancer.org to find out how to get screened near you. Coach, let's talk about your team. Offensively, the thing that stood out to me this year is how much you've improved on that end. I'm interested. Look, your personnel's changed significantly, and so that has something to do with it, no doubt. How much of it is personnel? How much of it is X and O stuff? I mean, you've made no bones about, hey, we're playing some booty ball this year. Damask has been a big part of that. Like, how much is X and O? How much is personnel?
Well, a little bit of both. I think my junior college days, Dave, helped.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the portal, we've been able to add three guys that fit what we're doing. I think at one time we were 71 in offensive efficiency on KenPom. I think today we're 6 or 7. It's been efficient for us. It's been effective. It's eliminated some turnovers. We're still playing really fast in transition, finding that mix, and it just fits our personnel, who we are, and it's become an identity for us. We've had to adjust midstream with that. It's not per se the same stuff we're running last year. It's completely different, but it does fit, and we found a nice balance. We've had games with 6 guys in double figures, and it's just been really solid for us.
You know, you mentioned the transfer portal, and I think it's really fascinating, this trying to predict, right? This seems to me to be the biggest challenge. I'm interested in your take on this because you have had such success with it. Quincy Guerrier was a high-level guy who everyone's known about for a long time, and came from a high major program. But, you know, Marcus Damask is a mid-major guy. Justin Harmon is technically, it's a low major program that he came from. So, although they've obviously had nice success here in recent years, but I guess my point or my question is, how do you predict? Because we have seen guys who are great mid-major players come into the Big Ten and play really well, and we've seen guys come into the Big Ten and not play as well. How hard is it to try to figure out when you're watching a guy on tape whether or not he'll translate?
Yeah, it goes more than just the tape. You know, there was a different component with Marcus. You know, he had a season where he only played 10 games. He was just shy of being a 2,000-point scorer. And then when you factor in the character, and the hard work and what he stood for, he was a great fit. Justin is a great example of a guy who we actually saw play in high school, but just got better. And we set out with the purpose to find older, more mature guys. You throw Quincy in there. We recruited him 3 times before we actually got to coach him. So it was that part was fortunate for us. But they're all super high character guys. They all work and have a component of work and that we knew allowed them to fit into our locker room. And then we were very honest with them as to what their roles would be and where they were going to be, what we needed them for. Having Terrence, having Coleman, having Luke Goody back, Dane Deja, you know, we knew what we were looking for. So, you know, the character piece was a big part of it. And then obviously we got older and we found guys who were very skilled on the offensive side.
You mentioned Terrence. He's been back for 2 games. Offensively, there have been some struggles. He's 1 of 10 from 3, just as for instance. What has been the biggest challenge in terms of getting him reintegrated?
Yeah, just that. It just takes time. You know, I think that we forget sometimes that you don't just flip a competitive switch and it comes on. And, you know, he missed a month practicing with his team, being a part of that. And you know, I know we'll continue to grow and do that. He's electric in transition. I think he's the premier player in the country in the open court. Defensively, you know, we need him to be the best perimeter defender in the country. He can be that. And so it's just taken a little bit of time, and I feel great about that because he's such an unbelievable teammate that'll afford itself. And he had his best practice yesterday, and you know, we're in a hard stretch here with not a lot of practice time, but he's been very, very good and very diligent.
Coach, we saw at Northwestern the other night. It's not going to be easy on the road, frankly. I mean, it's never easy on the road, but there's a lot swirling around with everything that happened with Terrence. And so I'm just curious, like, how have you addressed that component of it with him and with your team?
Yeah, and I think the one thing that it's really, really hard on the road anyway. It was an incredible environment, a high level game, maybe as high level a game as we've had all season. We know how good Northwestern is at home, and this group is extremely connected. We've done a really good job of eliminating kind of the outside noise and not getting wrapped up in too much that goes on, controlling our locker room. We've really tried to simplify it. It's amazing. Most people don't hear what goes on during a game when you're involved in the game. I think that's fine. I think that's great. And we just go out and play. And it was an incredible atmosphere at Northwestern. It was one of the best I've seen in our league. And yet we got the ball and a shot to try to win it. And I think that shows the focus and dedication of our guys in a game that was awfully high level.
It really was high level. It was a thrilling game to watch. I know you got a big game coming up tomorrow. I want to conclude with this. You've got Indiana coming in. They're in a bit of desperation mode, as you know, Coach, but they certainly have a lot of talent. They have a really good front court. What do you guys need to do to get back on track, and what's kind of your message to your guys heading into that game against the Hoosiers?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we've been able to and tried to do is we have, there's no doubt Indiana's front court is extremely good, and we've got to go out and play, and it's not you don't want to let one turn into two, and you've got to go play hard. They've had a break here, and they've had some time off, and I'm sure they've gotten healthy. In terms of the Ware kid being back. But again, every game in this league's a monster. You don't put any more value on one than the other. You have to go out and play extremely hard. You have to go out and play extremely physical. And you have to execute. And if you don't do that, no matter home or road, you got an opportunity to get beat. So it's what makes this league the best league in the country. And the mental part is just as important as the physical part.
Well, Coach, we'll look forward to watching that one tomorrow. Again, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for Coaches versus Cancer. It's been a really meaningful partnership for us here at the Big Ten Network. These last couple of years, we'll continue supporting it in whatever way we can, but we always appreciate how generous you are with your time. Thanks a lot.
Likewise, Dave, and appreciate all that you do and support, and looking forward to taking over for Lon Kruger's the head of this, and doing more great things to keep this fight on.
It couldn't be in better hands. Thanks, Coach.